like to tell you first off that I'm not a doctor. I do have my certificate. I am a registered nurse, and I do have my certifications as a holistic health coach and as a certified natural health professional. Plus, I have the experience of having gone through this situation myself. I want to emphasize that it's possible to have a leaky gut without having an autoimmune disorder, but it is not possible to have an autoimmune disorder without having a leaky gut. So with that being said, I would like to tell you a little bit about my story. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and chronic myofascial pain syndrome in mid-1995. The time I was wearing a size 8 and weighed about 120 pounds. As you can see on the far left, I quickly gained a significant amount of weight. I was weighing around 200 pounds and a size 24. I was on a total of 18 prescriptions, including Percocet and morphine for pain control. And then in 2006, I was walking with a cane. I could not walk down to our mailbox. And then in 2007, the Lord led me to natural health. I had to retire medically in 2000. And my days existed of getting up and going to the couch and going from the couch to the kitchen to the couch to the bathroom and then back to bed at night. And in 2007, I was out in my yard one day walking around trying to get what little bit of exercise I could. And a lady that I had been trying to reach to help me on my natural health journey, I was praying, and my prayer was, Lord, if natural health is the avenue that you would have me take with my life, please let her have called when I get back inside. I got up to the door and my husband met me and he said, that lady you've been trying to reach just hung up the phone. So my journey had started. As you can see, by 2014 rather, I had lost a significant amount of weight. I had my life back. And then on the far right, you see the picture of me in December of 2015. And on the left is a picture of me in the fall of 1997. So let's talk about the importance of gut health. The gut, or the gastrointestinal system, is truly a gateway to overall health. The gut microbiome is an ecosystem of organisms, including bacteria, yeast, fungi, viruses, and protozoa throughout the digestive tract. For beyond just digestive health, the following organ systems are also closely related to gut health. And they include the immune system, the endocrine system, nervous system, circulatory system, the integumentary system, which is your digestive tract, your respiratory system, and your reproductive system. A few key points to consider are there are 10 times the amount of bacteria in your body than we have cells in our body. And the majority of them are found within our digestive system. The gastrointestinal system contains 90% of the body's happy hormone, serotonin. And most importantly, approximately 70% of our immune system is housed in our gut. As you can tell, health gut doesn't stop at digestion. The health of our gut affects nearly every system in our bodies. So let's talk a little bit about what is leaky gut. Leaky gut is a term that refers to intestinal hyperpermeability and has become increasingly more common problem seen today. It causes major health problems, including autoimmunity. But how does it do this? Intestinal hyperpermeability is exactly what it sounds like. The digestive tract is no longer able to ensure the good stays in and the bad stays out. Instead, the tight junctions or the proteins holding the intestinal walls together are loosened. This leaves sizable gaps for undigested food particles, digestive fluids, and toxins to enter the bloodstream. The body reacts to these foreign particles in the blood by producing immune antibodies or pro-inflammatory cells to fight them off. This breeds chronic inflammation, food allergies, and various health complications. Of course, there are no signs of improvement until the gut's permeability is addressed. Fortunately, we now have a better understanding of the causes, obstacles, and treatment methods for leaky gut, so there is a stop to the cycle. Now, how does this happen? How does the gut get leaky? Several factors have proved to negatively affect the gut's integrity. The most prominent include the standard American diet, better known as SAD, exposure to chemicals, chronic infections, gluten and other grains, food allergies, excessive medications, poorly managed stress. So let's talk a little bit about the SAD diet. The standard American diet, which is rightfully known as the SAD diet, is one of the leading causes of the chronic health issues we see today. According to a 2009 study conducted by the USDA, 63% of the calories Americans are consuming came from processed foods containing preservatives, refined grains, and added sugars and oils. It's almost as though the general public took it upon themselves to refigure the food pyramid to consist of grain at the base, dairy in the middle, and sugar at the top, when in all honesty, none of these foods have any business being a part of our diets at all. Did you know that the average person in today's world consumes their weight in sugar over a 12-month time frame, where in the early 1900s, that same person would consume maybe 10 to 15 pounds of sugar over a 12-month time frame? Food, you can call it what you want, be it fruit, frankenfoods, food-like substances, fake food, but you most definitely can't call most of our food supply today real food. When the majority of our diets are packaged meals with paragraph-long ingredient lists and labels we can't understand, we are not eating real food. We've got a couple alarming facts here. The United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA as we affectionately know it, has approved approximately 3,000 different food additives, preservatives, and colorings without adequate research on safety. The average person ingests over 150 pounds of additives each year. The magnitude of these chemicals are allowed into our lives is incomprehensible. We are becoming more and more aware of the consequences from the fake food lifestyle, and it is simply unacceptable. There is only one factor in the leaky gut epidemic, but definitely a big one. Up next, we will be discussing other factors responsible for the onset and progression of leaky gut. Inflammation. Sick and inflamed. Inflammation is a vital immune response and is the body's attempt to defend itself against pathogens, heal from injury, and repair damaged tissue. Chronic inflammation, however, is not beneficial to our bodies in any way. In fact, it can worsen the body's ability to recognize foreign invaders and puts the body in a state of stress for extended periods of time. This can cause lasting damage, increased food allergies, and eventually autoimmunity. Now, I can tell you I had allergy testing done in the late 1980s, And by the time they were finished, both of my arms looked like railroad tracks going up and down them. And the numbers that were negative were few and far between. This type of inflammation can be caused by a number of things, but largely seen as a result of leaky gut syndrome and poor dietary habits. If chronic inflammation goes untreated, leaky gut is worsened, and the body ultimately loses its ability to repair from the damage. So what is the number one cause? The number one cause is gluten. Gluten is a general term for a mix of proteins in many grains, such as wheat, barley, and rye. Gluten has found itself in much of our food supply, disguised in packaged foods and featured in most prepackaged dishes. It's even in glue on envelopes. It is no surprise that our consumption of gluten has increased immensely and our health is suffering from it. Gluten allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances are becoming increasingly more common. Gluten-free has become a buzzword within the health community, and people are finally beginning to explore just how dangerous gluten can be for their health. How dangerous is it, you ask? Gluten makes your gut leaky. Simple as that. Zuulin, a protein found in gluten, increases the permeability of the gut by further opening the spaces between cells. The antibodies normally released as a result from leaky gut are accompanied by more antibodies created to attack one of the gluten's more prominent building blocks, gliadin. This leads to more inflammation, more bodily confusion, and even more health complications. In other words, your body reacts to the consumption of gluten by creating a defense mechanism to fight it. Once this damage has occurred within the digestive tract, it is then distributed throughout the entire body. And we wonder why we're having so many health issues today. So how does gluten harm? Aside from contributing, if not entirely causing leaky gut, gluten increases inflammation, overall digestive distress, and alters the balance of our microbiome. Our microbiome must be equipped with efficient, healthy bacteria in order to be successful carrying out its necessary functions. Without the proper balance of bacteria, the following functions are disrupted. We have difficulties with digestion, we have difficulties with immune response, nutrient absorption, hormone regulation, vitamin production, detoxification, mood management, and many, many more. What are some of the primary effects of gluten, you may ask? Gluten produces both primary and secondary effects. The damage gluten causes that we have talked about thus far has mostly been the primary effects. Intestinal hyperpermeability, otherwise known as leaky gut, permeability of the blood-brain barrier, the onset of autoimmune disorders, such as celiac disease, Crohn's, and ulcerative colitis, the development of psychological disorders, dysbiosis or abnormal bacteria growth, acute allergic or IgE responses, and a delayed antibody response. While all of these issues are very serious within themselves, they too cause further complications. Next comes the secondary effects of gluten. The secondary effects of gluten include severe nutrient deficiencies such as iron and vitamin B12, systemic inflammation leading to organ and tissue breakdown. It may seem a bit redundant that we keep coming back to how your body acts on gluten, but it is one of the most important pieces of information you can take from this class. Gluten is a major component in the leaky gut cycle. It is present in the onset, the maintenance, and the progression of this damaging condition, and it should not be taken lightly. As you can probably guess, gluten's path to disease is pretty direct. The first step is when gluten's contribution goes unnoticed. At this point, it is likely there are little to no known symptoms. This is where most people will assume that gluten won't hurt them and therefore can eat it. No problem. Unfortunately, the lack of apparent symptoms does not mean that gluten doesn't hurt your gut. In fact, it takes exposure over time and the accumulation of damage before leaky gut will be noticeable. For those cutting out gluten before they feel any physical discomfort, they are still treating an underlying issue, even if they can't quite feel it yet. The next step is the progression to subclinical problems. This is where leaky gut truly begins to develop. Often the first things that will be noticed is increased food and environmental allergies. Digestive distress may begin to become more frequent. Unfortunately, it is common for people to still avoid blaming gluten for their discomfort. The last step is recognizing the problem. However, it is not usually recognizing gluten as the problem, but the acknowledgement of the problem that gluten has caused. For example, if someone is diagnosed with a chronic disease or develops an anti-inflammatory changes, most medical doctors will begin treating these conditions rather than examining the origin. It's a shame that this happens so often, as if gluten was recognized as the main problem during the early stages, then a lot of these health issues could be avoided entirely. Gluten, however, is not the only concern when it comes to solving leaky gut. We'll be going over some other issues that contribute to this dangerous syndrome in a moment. I would like to take a moment and tell you the difference between medical doctors and doctors of naturopathy. Doctors of naturopathy are taught to look for what's causing the problem to begin with, to dig to the bottom of the cause, and that's what they work on correcting. Medical doctors, and I have been told this by MDs, are taught in medical schools to, in essence, put a Band-Aid on the problem by giving a prescription, because most of the medical schools are funded by pharmaceutical companies. So what else can contribute to it? Much like the additives and preservatives flooding our food supply, pesticides are also a big part of what's on our plates. Did you know there are 3 million tons of pesticides used worldwide each year, and more than 16,000 chemicals involved in the production of these pesticides? Studies to ensure their safety on humans have been very limited, whereas some have no documented research at all. While we are not entirely sure of their safety on human health, we do recognize strong links between pesticide exposure and nervous system disorders, immune system suppression, reproductive damage, hormonal imbalances, thyroid issues, type 2 diabetes, obesity, asthma, migraine headaches, attention disorders, and developmental delay in children. The magnitude that pesticides, along with the steroids, hormones, antibiotics, and excitotoxins show up in our food supply is truly frightening. And to think it isn't a main component of our leaky gut is simply impossible. We were talking a few minutes ago about prescriptions, about drugs. Medication is severely overprescribed in the current medical model used today. Medical programs train doctors, as I said, to medicate symptoms, even when they are unsure of the cause. This, in the short term, has seemed to work because the patients experience temporary relief from their discomfort by, in essence, putting a Band-Aid on the symptom. But what isn't taken into account is how these excessive prescriptions have affected our bodies. For example, statins, which are drugs used to lower cholesterol, have shown to lower vitamin D and CoQ10 levels. While it may be lowering cholesterol, it is simultaneously causing nutrient deficiencies, muscle fatigue, increased blood pressure, and weakened immunity. Now, I would like to point out at this point that CoQ10 is the spark plug of every single cell of every muscle in our body. And what is the most important muscle that we have? Our heart. Painkillers like ibuprofen, naproxen, and aspirin contribute to vitamin C and iron deficiencies, leaving one vulnerable to disease and eroding the mucosal lining of the stomach. Acid reduction medications hinder the digestion of protein, calcium, and vitamin B12, often causing chronic pain problems. Let me interject there that I had been on acid reduction medications for a long time in multiple courses. Long-term use of antidepressants, too, significantly reduce the gut's motility and causes digestive issues. Lastly, it's important to note that almost all medications are unable to differentiate between the good bacteria in our gut and the illness it is trying to attack. That results in an altered microbiome and a much greater risk of infections. So as you can tell, drugs offer an unintended lot of consequences that can affect our health very badly. There are very few situations where drugs should be your solution, but these include such as a life-threatening infection or a surgical situation. Without the immediate emergency needs of medication, it is best to treat the issue than to temporarily patch the problem. So what are the 5 critical elements of healthy gut function? Our gut has 5 critical elements or defenses that it truly needs for healthy gut function. In order, from the most outer layer of defense, they include a mucosal IgA, otherwise known as immune globulin A. This antibody found in the mucous membranes is considered your gut's first line of defense against toxins. The second one is tight junctions. These are small proteins that are responsible for holding the gut cells together. This is what is most directly affected with leaky gut syndrome. Gastro-associated lymphoid tissue, otherwise known as GALT. This is the gut's concentrated immune system, and in fact, 70% of our immune system altogether. This is the gut's last and most powerful layer of defense. The gut's accessory defenses include friendly bacteria, as we talked about earlier. As we mentioned, we have more bacteria in our bodies than we do our own cells. And this bacteria can communicate with the GALT, warning it of potential danger. Stomach acid, which is absolutely essential for the digestion, absorption of nutrients, and defense against infections. If there is any dysfunction throughout your gut's line of defense, these 5 primary barriers need to be evaluated in order to heal and be treated properly. So what are the functional 4 steps of repair? The 4R program is administered to help you heal from digestive distress, reverse gut complications, and to rebalance your gastrointestinal microbiome. It is an incredible tool to acknowledge and treat health issues, dysfunctions, imbalances, and personal health needs. It is done in the following order. First step is to remove. Eliminate problem foods, toxins, low-grade infections, and oxidative stress. What you can do is you can keep a food diary and watch and see how your body responds to what you're eating. Also, did you know that every time you take a big deep breath in, you're breathing in the same things that cause rust on shovels? That is causing oxidative stress inside of our bodies. The next step in the 4 Rs is to begin reintroducing a clean diet with essential nutrients your body needs. The third step is to repopulate or restore your gut with healthy bacteria to restore the proper balance of gut flora. Now, when you take probiotics, you want to make sure that the probiotic has a protective coating on it, which will enable it to get through the stomach acid intact and get to where in your digestive tract it will be the most benefit. The fourth and final R is to replace digestive enzymes, antioxidants, and immune-boosting vitamins to promote a sustainable and healthy digestion. And I can tell you these words are truth because I've been down this road. So what do? We remove the bad. At this point, you may have already removed things you already knew were to be detrimental to your health, such as gluten and known allergies. But you'll also want to remove much of the chemical burden in your daily life. This includes pesticides on foods, genetically modified organisms, unnecessary medications, unnatural household cleaners. Check your water supply. Is your water purified by reverse osmosis? If not, try and convert to that, because there are a lot of problems with the water that people are drinking these days. Another issue is, since our skin is our largest organ, what are you putting on your skin that can cause issues as well? Is the makeup or cleansers that you're using, are they natural and clear? Another thing is, do you have any mercury fillings in your mouth or silver amalgams in your mouth? That's another thought. So the next step in the 4 R's, we've got repair, we've got restore, we've got replace. Once you have an understanding of what should be removed from your daily life and you have begun to implement those changes, it is time to begin repairing the damage that had previously been done. This is done by calming the chronic inflammation and reintroducing the nutritious foods, digestive enzymes, probiotics, essential fiber, vitamins, minerals, and acids. For some people, these steps may mean implementing supplementation or personalized diet plans that cater to their specific needs. Been there, done that. Again, be sure to consult with your holistic health coach to be sure you are beginning the most appropriate repair route for your individualized needs. Supplementation spotlight. Nutrients must be replaced for effective healing. Because if the nutrients aren't getting in, you're not benefiting from them. While everyone's needs are highly individualized, here are some common supplements that have proven to be helpful in the gut healing process. First is probiotics. We've already talked about making sure that it has a protective coating on it to enable it to get through the stomach acid intact and where it needs to go to be of the most effect. You also want to make sure that it's at least 10 strains strong and 10 billion units. Prebiotics helps to prepare the gut so that you will be able to produce probiotics on your own. Want to go back up to probiotics for a minute. If anybody out there is eating yogurt that has fruit already in it when you get it from the store, you are negating any benefit that you might get from it because the sugar from the fruit is canceling out any probiotic benefit. Your best bet is to get plain yogurt, organic if at all possible, and then add your own fruit to it from the produce department. We talked about the prebiotics. The next on the list is digestive enzymes. How many people out there knew that as we age, our bodies produce less and less digestive enzymes? Every time you stick a piece of chewing gum in your mouth, you are using digestive enzymes, and you've only been given so many throughout a lifetime. So we need to supplement that to make sure that we are breaking down our foods. Fiber is important for making sure that our bowels are eliminating correctly. Collagen, it's a protein which is a major component of connective tissue. Turmeric, anti-inflammatory, and it's also an antioxidant. L-glutamine, that helps to boost immune cell activity in the gut, protect the immune system. Quercetin, which helps to decrease inflammation, helps to get rid of pain, helps against cardiovascular diseases, it's anti-cancer. It also boosts the immune system, it reduces histamine response, and it reduces skin irritation. These are only suggestions. However, a main takeaway from this is that you should not rely solely on supplements. They can be used to help your healing process, but the goal is to be able to sustain wellness with whole foods and healthy lifestyle choices long term, without the need for piles of pills. The most difficult part of health is maintaining it. Even if you build a strong foundation during the healing process, without the proper diet, lifestyle choices, and stress management long term, you can fall right back into the same gut-destroying patterns. Remember, health is a journey, not a destination. I was out at my youngest son's house a year ago this past Thanksgiving, and he wanted some mama rolls. So I made rolls for him. I thought maybe that since I chose the ingredients that went in it and I made sure that they were of the highest quality, that I would be okay with it. That was one of the worst nights of my entire life because I was in pain the entire night long. So what we need to do is we need to skip the guesswork. Although there is plenty of research on the dangers of leaky gut, it is still considered a medical mystery. Many cases go misdiagnosed and in turn not properly treated. It is crucial to work with a doctor familiar with the condition and will perform the appropriate tests in order for you to heal effectively and efficiently. Always start with the fundamentals. Honor your body's unique needs and skip the guesswork. So I want to thank you for taking the time to experience this class. We love sharing this topic with anyone who is eager to transform their health, and y'all are just absolutely fantastic. If you have any further questions, please inbox me, and post them in the chat box, and we will be more than happy to help you address your concerns. So happy healing. One quote that I would like to leave you with, but here's the thing, no matter whether you are married or single, have kids or not, healing cannot happen if you're constantly on empty. And running on empty will eventually interfere with not just your health, but also your ability to care for others. Subtle signs like feeling annoyed or overwhelmed when your spouse, children, friends, boss, or parents need something are an indication that you are not taking care of you. Remember, an empty cup cannot fill another. You must first fill your own cup first, and I encourage you to fill your cup with so much self-care that when you take the time to care for others, you will give from your overflow, and you will see that giving will feel effortless. Start to think of yourself as a dear friend or family member, someone you would always make time for and drop everything to help. Are you willing to do the same for yourself? Now, one other thing that I learned just this past weekend, in fact, was that it's not just a matter of eliminating sugars from your diet, but it's also important to eliminate foods that are high glycemic or easily break down into sugar from your diet. I had a bowl of soup Saturday night. It had cooked carrots in it. Cooked carrots are highly glycemic. I had a flare Saturday night and early Sunday morning. So I've told you that I'm a certified holistic health coach. I've gotten additional training in gut health. I'm a certified lifestyle weight management coach, certified natural health professional, and a certified health specialist, in addition to being a registered nurse. My next class, the program that I teach, is for low glycemic eating. The next class that I am teaching online is starting on, hang on, I'm pulling it up right now. I apologize for not having it. My phone is doing its own thing today. But it will be starting on April the 29th. Cutoff for registration for that class is this coming Friday. The next class will be starting on May the 13th. Cutoff for that class is going to be Friday, May the 3rd. If you're interested in either one of those, please reach out to me. I am here to help you in whatever way I can. You've got my email address. You've got my email address right there. You can text me. And there's my Facebook page. I look forward to hearing from you. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat box. Look forward to talking to you. Take care. Bye-bye.